Today we're tying a very simple 1/8 ball head. Stay tuned. So good morning. Decided to turn the cameras on. We're tying something not terribly fancy, but it's a very effective jig, and it's a jig head that I think lately people either love it or hate it, and it's the plain old ball head jig. I really like a ball head jig. I don't think they need to be terribly fancy. This is just a plain white head with a black eye. How does that do? That looks okay, right? And the basicness of a ball head jig, I think, is what is appealing to me. I think often jigs like this, the fish are hitting it because of the profile and maybe the color, not necessarily the flash and the fancy painted eyes and you know, UV collars and things like that. So you know, I thought I'd turn the cameras on and tie just a very simple jig. It's a size that I don't do a whole lot of. These 1/8 I think are almost a perfect size in a lot of the I fish around a lot of islands that have a gentle sloping contour as it goes into the lake. So it goes, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8, but it's fairly gradual. And I like a jig this size when I'm just searching and throwing stuff out. Maybe boost it up to maybe a quarter, but still keeping the presentation pretty small. And you can't beat this kind of jig, you know, at the end of a dock. So this is going to be just a single plain color, white head, white tail. I'm actually filling my boxes for the spring. There are a couple shops that do like stocking these. So as always, I remove the broken fibers from the buttons, and then I switch my grip and restack. And like on all our jigs, the proportion is the tail is the length of the body past the bend of the hook. I can adjust my grip as much as I need to, kind of walking my fingers back and forth as I switch my grip. And then once I get the length that I'm happy with, switch my grip one last time, keep this pinch nice and tight, lock it into place. So that was about 5 wraps towards the bend of the hook and a couple wraps back towards the head. You can see we have a nice V shape here. That's what we're going for. And then you take that top wing, just like always, and give it a twist to the belly. If this was a black and white jig, we would have tied on the black first, twisting it to the what becomes the back of the jig as it's being fished. And our second pinch. Now you can get a little bit fancier with this jig, adding red tinsel or crystal flash down each lateral line on each side would work perfectly. Changing the thread color, giving it fancier eyes or holographic eyes maybe that also matched the thread color. So you can do a lot with just a plain ball head jig when you're tying it. Make it as plain or as fancy as you want. The thread I'm using today is a 2/0. 1/4 is about the smallest size head that I will use, the A size thread. It just gives it a little bit nicer collar, that thinner thread diameter. So again, we lock this in place with 3 wraps towards the bend of the hook, a couple wraps towards the head, and then we can finish our wraps walking it up to the head, and then halfway back, and then back to the head, just to give it that nice cone shape. To finish this off, you can use a whip finish tool. I like to take a loop of thread of an opposite color, size A, and I can walk the thread about halfway down the collar and then back to the head. And just pull that through. Ideally, your collar should be as short as possible. That's about the maximum that we'd want. This collar, if it starts getting a little bit too long, then it becomes part of the body shape and changes the profile just slightly. Some guys tie that way on purpose. They want a longer, thinner body. Often when you do that, you'll also see tiers palmer some hackle to give the illusion of a wider body. So, you know, if you have a reason for extending your collar, by all means, you can tie like that. But ideally, on just a basic jig, what I'm looking for is a short collar, nice clean wraps, a cone shape, and there we have our lacquer-based head cement, thin just slightly so it soaks into the threads. Let's turn my face off. And there we have it. A very simple 1/8 ball head jig, plain white bucktail. Very plain, but very productive. So I think that will do it for us today. If you have any questions or comments on what we did here today, go ahead and put those down below. Any suggestions on how to doll up a basic jig, something like this, a plain white head, plain white hair, and how we can doll this up, put those comments down below as well. Give me something really interesting. Maybe we'll tie it in a future video. As always, like and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Feel free to share any of my videos as it does help increase awareness for the channel. And like always, guys, keep tying in tight lines.